Hey everybody, welcome back to the Forge. As of late, I have been busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. One of the things I've been busy working on is I've been exploring more on how to make axes and hatchets. And the biggest time-consuming thing that I've found is how to get this eye in the steel. So normally what we do is we'll use tools like drifts and punches to punch through the hot steel and eventually get this hole big enough to where we can get our handle in. It's very time consuming, and I've just been exploring there's got to be a better way. So I think I've got something. I'm going to share it with you. Man, there's got to be an easier way than this. Wait a minute, I got to press. All right. Axe dies for a coal iron press. Wait a minute, these are about $300. Okay, everybody, so as you may know, in the bladesmithing world and blacksmithing world, we usually have several different options when we run into a conundrum like this. A, we find a workaround. B, we pony up the cash. Or C, we make the tool ourselves. So I elected to do C. Let's keep in mind that this is 50% instructional and 50% don't try this at home. So what I did here is, here's one of the dies from my press. I had some 8670 steel laying around, and I kind of made these a little bit bigger, but I traced the outline so they will work in my press. And I made this drift. I had some pieces of a backhoe cutting edge that was broken off. I know it's hardenable steel, so I use that to forge this drift. I usually don't use scrap steel for making blades. I do use it though for tools like this. I also put some screws in here. I welded some nuts and put screws in here so I can actually remove this if I have to, or if I want a different size, or if it just doesn't work. And that's also mounted to a 3/4 inch piece of black gas pipe that I welded to this base. Now this is, I think, what they call like a stripper plate. And what that does is when you release this in the press, it pulls the steel out so your steel doesn't stick to your drift. All this is 2-inch square tubing welded to another base plate. And so I'm going to put this in the press and we're going to see if this thing works or not. First things first though, what I want to do is I'm going to mark my steel, because this probably will go right through, and I want to make sure that I'm going to try to make sure I'm lined up on both sides of that steel. So let's do that first and then we'll get over to the press and see how this works. Okay, so I got a piece of 1 inch thick, 1.5 inch wide, 4 inches long piece of mild steel. I found my center line on both sides, and I was going to go in 3/4 of an inch, but I don't know how this punch is going to react. I don't want to rip out the side, so I measured in 1 inch and gave myself a really good punch right there on both sides, so I can line that up with my drift. So hopefully that will line up pretty good when I punch this, because I'm going to punch through both sides. And if it doesn't line up perfectly, no loss. I've got a drift that I'm going to clean this up with a drift anyway. The main thing is getting that first hole punch through. That just takes forever. So we're going to go over to the press and give this a try, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, I got the steel heating up in the forge, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. And let it be known, I love this press. I got it about 2 years ago, and it's been a game changer for me, especially when we're talking about making pattern welded steel or Damascus. It takes something that took me days to do by hand with just a hammer and an anvil to hours, and I can't say enough good things about it. I just can't pony up $300. So try to get this lined up. And let's do a test run real quick. Looks like we're doing good here. All right, I'm going to check on my steel and let's see if this works. I just want to take my time, make sure I line up on that mark. Boom. Well, that popped out. So I think we need to revise that, but I think we do have a hole drifted. Let me just figure out how to get this thing out of there. Okay, so here's what happened, everybody. This was not strong enough to hold the drift in place. I think I got a pretty easy workaround. What I'm going to do, here's the, as you can see, all I did was put like a little indent for those screws to sit in, and that just wasn't enough. So what I intend to do is, what I'll probably do is reuse this drift, anneal it to soften it up, drill a hole straight through it, and then set up a way to put a pin all the way through. And I think that'll hold it securely. That being said, though, if you look, that drift worked. I mean, it worked. There's a coupon on the other side. You can see it right there. That's ready to pop right out. All I have to do is heat this back up a little bit, get one of my drifts, and that'll knock right out. So I'm not unhappy with that. That's the first time I've ever done that. I'm not going to kick myself for that. And we can still salvage everything here. All right, I'm going to chalk that up as a major success, especially for the first time using this. I've got a hole drifted. All my pieces are still intact. All I have to do is make a minor modification to this, and I think I'm going to be rocking and rolling with this. And it's going to save me a ton of time. I thank you for joining me today. I hope you can get something out of these videos. If you like what you saw, please like, share, subscribe. It helps me grow the channel. Leave me a comment down below also. And in the meantime, just stay sharp, everybody.